This is The Civil Fleet, the podcast focused on the activist-led refugee rescue and support missions across Fortress Europe, with me, Ben Coles. In today's episode, we're going to speak with Somalian refugee Hanad Abdi Mohammad. Hanad and several others were on a boat crossing the Aegean Sea in 2020. The Turkish human trafficker in charge of the boat abandoned them and left them to cross the sea by themselves. The group got into trouble and they called the coastguards. The Turkish were the first to arrive, but they did not rescue them. What they did was push their boat further towards Greek waters. Eventually, when the Greek coastguards arrived, they brought everyone on board and they found that 2 people were missing. They must have fallen into the water and drowned. Once on dry land, Hanad was arrested by the Greek authorities and charged with human smuggling because they said he was in charge of the boat. Then, in 2021, Hanad was given a sentence of 142 years for this supposed crime. And then, in January this year, an appeals court reduced his sentence from the insane 142 years to 8 years, and the judge ordered Hanad's release, recognizing the time he had already served in jail and his good behavior. And so in today's episode, Hanad is going to tell his side of the story. Before we get into today's episode, I'd just like to thank Hanad's translator, Sapri, for doing a brilliant job, and also one of Hanad's lawyers, Alexandros Gregoulas, for organising and putting this interview together. He is featured in episode 26 of the Civil Fleet podcast, and we should hopefully have him back on the Civil Fleet to do a kind of second part to this story so he can explain the legal situation of what happened to Hanad. Also, be sure to check out civilfleet.com. The Civil Fleet's not just a podcast, it's also a website. We've got investigative stories, we've got reports and interviews and all kinds of stuff there too. If you really like what the Civil Fleet is doing and you would like to help us to continue to platform the refugees, the activists, the lawyers and the journalists that we have on here to talk about what's happening at Fortress Europe's borders, then consider supporting us with a small or a massive donation if you like. You can give us some money, help us cover the costs of running this thing at ko-fi.com/civilfleet. That's ko-fi.com/civilfleet. But a few people donate so far and it is great. So thank you very much for that. Or you could support us by sharing the podcast around, giving us a rating, that kind of stuff. I think you can do it on iTunes and Spotify. You can say this is the best podcast ever and all that kind of stuff, or whatever you like. That kind of stuff also helps us out, sharing us on social media and all that good stuff. Anyway, we almost missed an episode in February, but I've just managed to sneak this one out before the smallest month of the year ends. I've got another one in the works, and that should be out in a week or 2. Right, that's definitely enough from me now. We're going to get into the episode. Hanad and Sapri, thank you so much for coming on the Civil Fleet podcast. Hanad, I've heard a lot about your story. I've read a lot about what happened to you. So I'm really thankful that you're coming on to the podcast. Sapri, maybe you could start by, could you ask Hanad how he's feeling right now that he is out of sight of jail, he's free?
aad buu maasanta sidoo kale anagoo ku faraxsanahay inaad ku timaado aad iyo aad oo dareemi kartaa nolol xabsiga ku jira iyo nolosha hadda banaanka.
First, thank you so much for having me in here to talk to you. Secondly, how I feel really like a different life. I feel like now I'm my life after coming out of prison. I'm so happy for that.
And it's really good, his story is insane what happened to him. Hanad, could you tell us about your life in Somalia and why you had to leave Somalia?
I born in Mogadishu, in the capital of Somalia. That's where I've been raised and studied also. I grew up with my uncle because when I've been born and I was 2 months old, my father passed away. So after that, they put me in an inside school, mostly for like orphans. So I lived in there. After I came out from there, I went to look where is my family, but I found out that my mom and my sister are missing and no one knows where they are. And then I found out that the reason that my mom left in Somalia, we have some tradition is like when the husband of the wife dies, they let the brother of the husband to marry this woman. So if you have a wife, and you passed away, your brother will marry her to raise the kids for her and all of this. But she didn't agree for that, so she decided to leave from the family and disappear. After that, I left. When I continued studying, and when I came out, I lived with my uncle. My uncle was working with the government, and he was like some kind of, and how you say, some kind of the people who votes inside of the parliament and all of this. So he was like associated with the government a lot, and I started working with him as a driver, or working for him as a driver also. After that, I wanted to live my life and continue my life, and I wanted to have a family, get married to someone that I choose and I trust, and to continue my life with her. So when I found someone, my uncle didn't agree to the person that I chose, and I wanted to continue my life with her. And in Somalia, there is this kind of tribe discrimination. So so the person that I chose, she was not from a real known tribe or big one. So that's why my uncle didn't agree at all. So after that, he was trying to do his best to get me married to another woman from our clan. So I've been forced to get married to this lady that I'm not like agreeing that I want to get married to her and have my life to her, because I already have someone else that I love, and I had to leave that away because of the my uncle that chose her for me, and I couldn't say no to him at all. So after that, I didn't agree for I didn't accept the life that I was living with the woman that I was married to and all of this. So I found a chance that my uncle was traveling, was far away from the city. So I decided to leave and try to find the woman that I love and go to her. And in Islam, it's allowed that you can get married to up to 4 women. So I went to get married to this lady secretly, and I was hiding her from my uncle, not telling her. I didn't want him to find out about her. After that, my uncle found out that I was married to this woman that I want. I got married without him knowing. So he started getting angry and all of this, and he even like he was like fighting with me always about it. He even accused me and said like she made like a kind of witchcraft for you or something like that. So they took me to some kind of institution that is for people who've been witchcrafts, something like that. It's really known as Somalia. So yeah, he put me. It's more or less like a prison. He put me in there for 2 months, hoping that he would change my mind or brainwash me again to leave this woman or something like that. Even though there is other risks of me working with him. All of these things happened, and also there is I'm in a big risk working with him because he's with the government, and there is a terrorist group that against the government. So I'm also a target, an obvious target, because I'm close to him and I'm his driver. So when I saw all of these things, all of these issues, these problems came grouped on me, I decided to leave them in there and not to get in touch with them or get close to them. There is even one time that I was driving for him and they started attacking us with the terrorist group. I even got like injured in my leg. After all of these things, all of these problems, all of these and the tried things and all of that, I decided to leave, even that I was not happy in the life that I was living and all of this. So I decided to leave them all, to leave the tribe, to leave everything behind me. And then I came to a small region that I felt safe, far away from the government, far away from my uncle, far away from Al Shabaab, this terrorist group, all of them. After that, I was like driving some kind of like transport, like public transportation, something like that, because I already been a driver and I had experience in this. So I was just trying to live with this kind of small job. And then I found from the family of my mom, some cousin or some relatives from my mom's side, that there's someone who needs like a company because he's sick and he wanted to go to Turkey to get treatment in there. So I found like to accompany him to help him in all of this. So I found a chance to find a visa like this way. So I decided to go to Turkey. After that, I came with this guy. That's the part of Somalia finished, and I came to Turkey and I stayed with him for I was with him for 4 months and I was helping him because he had like kidney dialysis that he was doing in there and all of this. So I decided to get with him to stay with him in there. After 4 months, he decided to go back to Somalia. So he went back. So after that, I decided to live. I thought like, okay, going back in there is a lot of things that I'm going to risk. So I don't want to go back there. I'm going to stay in Turkey in here, try to find the life to work, to do something in here. But the problem is that in Somalia and in Turkey, there is a big Somalian community. So like you will be known so easily and the news will go around. So my uncle somehow got the news that I'm in Turkey and decided not to go back. And for him, because he's working with the government and all of this, he had a lot of connections, a lot of easy ways to come to Turkey. He even tried to let some people to come and tell me to go back, or even threaten me to go back to Somalia. After I was in Istanbul at that time, but after that I decided to go to a place called Sparta to try to seek asylum in there or to find paper or something like that. But it was the period of COVID, it was lockdown, so it didn't work at all. So I decided, okay, I will go to Izmir, and from Izmir I will try to come to Greece. So I came to Izmir, and it was really difficult to travel at that time or to take a trip because it was a time of lockdown. A lot of people was going down, and I was like, okay, let me not waste money and all of this trying to go again and again. So I decided to stay there, and I spent there 6 months in Izmir. After that, in the 1st of December, I decided to go, and I found a trip coming to Greece. They took us with a car. We were 9 people from Izmir to a place called Efilik, and that's where our trip started. So we came and we started hiding in the bushes in that place, and we were waiting for them until they prepare the boat, and then they prepare like the atmosphere. If there is no coast guard, nothing at all. We waited until it was like around 5 a.m., something like this.
Can I just ask, like, these people, who were these people, and how did you find them, Hanad? How did you find these guys?
When you are in Izmir, it's so easy to find them. It's not that difficult because they are known in there. This is the people who are like doing this kind of trips and all of this. And I knew some guy that I was living with before, and he told me about them, so I went through that.
I see. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I just wondered how that happened. Thanks for letting me know. Please continue your story.
So when we were there, it was not in our intentions at all that any of us would drive the boat, because no one told us that. So because what we knew and what they told us is like, okay, you go in the boat, some guy, a Turkish guy, will be driving the boat. There will be another boat behind you. As soon as you will get at some point, you will just leave, go to the other boat, and that's it. So when we were driving and we were in the middle of the sea, and he was talking in the phone like loudly, and I could understand a little bit of Turkish, and I was sitting next to him exactly the same position that we are in here, so I was the closest person to him. So after that, in a while, he started yelling at me and trying to force me to drive, and like even threatening me to drive in the boat. The other boat started getting closer. I think that boat was just like trying to look around and to scout the area and to see if there is any coast guard or anything. But they got closer as soon as this fight between him or me started. And at that time, it was something early and something fast. There was no time to discuss or to understand each other why you do all of it. It was just like everything was so fast because he was going to leave. He was even armed and all of this, and I was so scared. He even hit me, trying to force me to drive. So in the end, I had to accept that, not only for me, also to survive, to save these people who were there in the boat with us. I don't have any knowledge driving these things. I never been trained. I never drove. I never been in a boat in the sea. It was my first time. So I decided to hold the wheel, just not to sink or something like that. I didn't know what will happen. So after that, I decided to hold it only to make it stable. After that, when I start holding, after that, in a couple of minutes, the engine stopped working suddenly. After that, we tried to call the Turkish Coast Guard, and in the same time, we're trying to start the engine again and again, but it was not working. So we kept calling them until they said that, okay, they will come to start it up. And there was a lot of waves, and the people were screaming, and they were scared. Everyone was scared. I was even scared, but we didn't know what would happen exactly. When we called the Turkish Coast Guard, they told us like, we cannot get to you because you are now in the Greek waters, and we cannot get there. But I don't think that at all, because the amount of distance that we took was really short, and it's not possible that we are in the Greek water. After that, in a while, they came, and instead of trying to save us, they were just like trying to push us and put water on us, that we had a rubber boat, not a real boat, not metal or wood. So they were just like trying to push us. And at that time, I realized that, okay, they're trying to push us to the Greek water, which means that we are not in the Greek water now. So they were just like putting waves and water on us so we could move forward.
That was the Turkish Coast Guards that was pushing you forward.
Yes. We didn't expect that at all. We thought that they came to save us. They even had a big light on us so they could see us very clearly that we are in this bad situation, and they knew that our engine is not working, but instead of helping us, they were just doing this to us. there was water coming inside of the boat. People were getting wet and they were getting more scared and just screaming a lot and yelling a lot. Everyone was really scared in the boat at that night. After that, another ship came and I think it's the Greek Coast Guard, but I'm not really sure. They throw two ropes, and the Greek Coast Guard, they throw two ropes so we could like hang on it and try to come to the boat. And what I did is the first thing I thought about it was tying the engine with this rope. Otherwise, I think that this is a way that I save the people. Otherwise, the people will die because the engine is heavy. The boat, when the boat was really small and the people start standing and yelling and screaming, it was so dark. Also, it was in the middle of the night. No one can say exactly what happened. No one can remember very well because it was chaotic, the situation in there. When we got in the boat and they start counting, we realized that there is two people are missing and there was two ladies are missing from us. After that, when they saved us, they took us to inside the Greece, and it was like already morning and the sunrise already. So we've been saved from that situation. And even at that night when they were saving us, I was trying to help as much as I can. I was trying to let the people to get in the other boat, even the kids. I was trying to get them up. Even when we got up, I didn't finish. I didn't stop helping. I was trying to save more and more people as much as I can. And everyone acts differently. For example, when you have some kind of car accident, some people get scared and run away. Some people stand unmoving, and some people start helping. And I was this kind of people who was wanting to help, even that I was even for me that I was even in bad situation. And what I was doing and helping a lot of this, not because I felt that I have responsibility that I need to save these people and all of this. No, it was just about trying to help, as any other human will do. So I was doing as much as I can because I felt like, okay, those are poor people and I need to help them. Because all those people also are more or less the same as me, because they came here trying to find a future, or they run away from something, or they want to have a family, or they already have a family in there and they want to risk their life trying to have a better future and better life in there. So that's basically my journey from Somalia until I came to Greece.
Thank you for telling me that story. It's quite shocking. How did you feel when you was like, were you just terrified on the boat, or did you just were you just in the moment?
In the beginning, when he started threatening me to drive and all of this, and he jumped and I had to hold the boat or to hold the steering and all of this, I was like really terrified and so scared. But after that, when I saw the situation of the people and all of this, I just moved on, tried to help myself and them as much as I can, and I was not as much terrified as before. And the people who were in the boat were mostly women and children and kids, so I have to help. So that's how I felt when I was there.
How many people were in the boat? Remember, or do you have a rough idea?
I think they were around 33, something like that, when I saw in the paper.
And they were from Somalia. Were they other Somalis, or were they from all like other countries too?
When I saw in the paper, they were all Somalian. This is what I saw, but I couldn't notice at that moment.
I guess you were too panic. You know, you were focused on trying to stay alive, right? You didn't have time to think about where they're from. Yes, I couldn't realize at all. So what happened after you got to Greece?
So after we came to the land, they start asking questions, all of this, and they asked like when this guy who was driving jumped from the boat, who started trying to hold the boat, and I said me. They took me to some kind of room, even with my wet clothes and all of this. They didn't give me a clothes to change and like that all. And they were asking me these couple of questions and all of this. And then they told me like, okay, now you're going to a prison. And they took me to another police station and then to the main prison there. That's how I ended up in the prison in chaos.
I mean, how did you feel at that moment? You were wet, you were in danger, and now you were going to prison. How did you feel?
I felt like all of this struggle and all of this and trying to find my freedom and the life that I want and the future that I want and all of this. And in the end, I ended up in a room with 4 walls. This is the future that I was looking like. So that's the way that I felt. And I was really sad and really pissed about it so much.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's unbelievable that happened. The next part of your story, I think you were in court. You were sentenced to 142 years, right, in prison. After that, when I spent like around 5 months, something like that, I think it was 13 of May or something like that. I'm not really sure.
they took me to the court, and what I was expecting was like I get my freedom, but what I saw was something way more shocking and devastating than what they gave me in there.
You give me 142.
142 years is crazy. Like, it's longer than anyone could live. I mean, that must have been devastating.
markii lii sheegay wax
That is the thing that really got me crazy. Was like it was not believable at all. Like, okay, I had to deal with police stations and police and court and all of this that I never dealt with. And also I was like from another country in Somalia that we would not expect that something like this could happen in Europe. It was really crazy and surprising to me and shocking.
I just don't understand how they could give 142 years. I don't understand that.
kala aqoon badan
The lawyer had more knowledge about it, so he knows better than me.
How long were you in prison for then? You got they arrested you and eventually you got 142 years in prison. How long were you in prison for?
وصل إلى
I've been in 2 years and 2 months inside of prison.
2 years and 2 months, and you didn't do it, like it. What did you think about the case? You know, they said you were a trafficker or a smuggler. I'm not sure which. And all you did was touch the engine, right?
أنا مهرب هاي وش إيدي
Yeah, they said like I was like a smuggler, and that's why they accused me.
And how did you think about that? I mean, what did you think about their justification?
أدري من أعذر
I didn't had like it was really shocking because I didn't like I came from a place that I don't know about this stuff exactly, and I didn't have any capacity or any way or anything to be a smuggler or to be something like that or to buy a boat or something like that. So I couldn't like I didn't understand at all.
How do you feel about the Greek authorities? The Greek government, do you think that they were just trying to make an example of you?
حالتها
Even if I was like, even if you wanted to make an example about other people who's coming here and all of this, just like they didn't thought that they are destroying someone's life, giving him 142 years, that's destroying the whole future of someone. So that's too much to go to give an example for other people.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount of time. Yeah. And so can you tell us, Hanad, could you tell us about your time in prison? How was prison?
ارتشيت بالورسي محكمة
The first 5 months that I was in there, I didn't thought that I will go back there at all. I thought like, okay, I will only stay these 5 months and then I will go to the court and I will be released. After that, I came back and I got the sentence and I came back to the prison. The first 3 months, I didn't even know how I spent it because I was so shocked. After that, when the lawyers came and visited me, and also the people who were like from the European Parliament came and visited me, and I saw that they care about me, and the lawyers also explained to me that we still have a chance and we have another court and we keep fighting and start relaxing and being more like relaxed and happy a little bit about it. After that, I was just praying for God and waiting, being patient until my next court comes and then we figure it out. And I was trying to be patient and to survive as much as I can. Like it's a prison, it's not any other place. So you will find people who killed, who are thieves or whatever they are. So also there was no Somalians or not any black person inside of the prison. So I was trying to, there was also racism, but I was trying to lay low as much as I can and spend my time so I could go out without having any problems and all of this and be patient as much as I can. And also it make it worse knowing that okay, you've been like you didn't do anything, you try to find your future and all of this, and then you ended up in prison. That's make it way difficult, like inside of me, trying to survive and spend the time in there.
هديت
So that's how was my life in prison.
Thanks for telling us that. And it must be difficult to talk about these things. So I really appreciate you talking to us about it. Was it difficult to stay out of trouble? You were the only black person in the prison. You were the only Somali in the prison. It must have been really isolating. Was it difficult to stay out of trouble?
وقت كان هبا لسه عسكري كتير نقول
Yes, of course, it's difficult, but it also depends on the person. If you have someone who's not trying to get in troubles or trying to stay away from them and all of this, you don't have the same background, you don't have the same culture, you don't have the same language. You can say anything, even if it's a normal thing, and for him it will be offended and then you will get in more trouble. So more or less, like the most safe way was to isolate yourself and stay away from them. So this is what basically I was trying to do. Also in prison, there is like good people and bad people. You have to know who's bad and stay away from him as much as you can.
That's really hard. I can't imagine what that's like. I think it was like 2 or 3. I think it was a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago. You were back in court, and you were released. I mean, what happened there?
I felt like it was like it really took a long time, and I felt like we argued when we were fighting as much as we can, relying on the time and all of this. So it ended up good in the end, finally.
And you were released. I think was it 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. You were out of prison, right?
Yes, 3 weeks.
And what have you done in those 3 weeks apart from talk to journalists? What have you been doing?
What I did is like after coming and resting a little bit, I was just trying to find a way to stay here legally and try to continue my paper documents and all of this. And I went back to the camp to continue my paperwork and all of that. Like a parole that I cannot leave the country around 4 or 5 years. So that's also like a way for me, more motive to try to find the papers.
So you're claiming asylum in Greece at the moment?
Yes.
How do you feel about your future? Are you happy to stay in Greece? How do you feel about living in Greece?
I'm not that happy about the future because now after like when I was in prison, I seek asylum in there and they gave me a rejection. They refused my claim in there. So now I came out and I needed to continue for an appeal and all of this. And I cannot also leave this country for 4 or 5 years. I don't know what I will do. I still have a family behind me, some children, all of this. My children and my wife are behind me. I want to find a better future for them and for myself also. And now future to me, it's a little bit dark. So I don't know what I will do. But I feel a little bit more safe that I have my lawyer in here and all of this, and he's doing his best to achieve and finish this mess that I'm in.
Yeah, and it is a mess, right? It's hard. Do you think that your story could have been different if it was easier to get to Greece?
Yes, of course it would be different.
Yeah, but it'd be really different. And I think, do you think that there should be, easier ways for people to come in? I think there should be easier ways. I wonder what you think, Hanad.
Yes, but now the situation is like more like everyone depends on his like there is some people coming in from the first try, some people trying again and again and again until they come in, some people dying in the middle of the sea. So it depends on the luck and of the person of the time also. It depends on your luck, how much luck you are.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's really terrible that people, they want to find a new life, but they have to talk to traffickers who put your life in danger. I think it's really terrible.
Yes, I agree, but the thing is that what these people are running away from, they will accept whatever it is because they saw something worse than this. So absolutely that they don't have any other choice.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I think I can see why you have to leave. People have to leave. And while you were in prison and while you were in prison in Greece, were you able to talk to your family back home?
Even though it was really expensive, I was able to communicate with them every 2 months, every 3 months because it was really expensive. I cannot afford it, like to talk to them constantly all the time.
And then now that you're out, hopefully it will be easier to stay in touch with them.
Yes, I could talk to them at any time.
That's good. I think I've asked everything I wanted to ask. I wondered, Hanad, if there was anything you wanted to tell me, wanted to talk about.
I really thank everyone who's been through my story, the journalist, the lawyer, the European Parliament, that they came and visited me and they helped me. I can feel their help very well, and I can feel that they were helping me as much as they can. So, and I thank you also. And I'm really so grateful for their help and they were doing all of that. And until now, I still need their help, and then I need their support, especially the lawyer and all of those people. I'm still here. I'm still like trapped in here. I cannot leave for 4 or 5 years. I'm not too sure how long. I can feel that the lawyer is doing his best for this, but I will still need the support of all of these people. I'm still struggling with my paperwork and living in here and all of this. I don't have work until now. So I really still need their support as much as they can. I'm studying now, I'm going to the school, but I cannot rely on people for always. I'm trying to also find a work. I want to work to continue my future, try to do as much as I can in my life.
And how is learning Greek? How is learning the language? Is that must be difficult?
I'm trying to do as much as best as I can. Like even if it's difficult or not, I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And it's just knowledge, trying to learn. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And also another thing that I wanted like to do is like to try to be united with my family. I've been really long time. I've been 9 months in Turkey, 2 years in prison, and now I'll stay here in 4 years doing nothing. It's really feels bad that I want to see my kids and my wife again as soon as possible one day in the future.
Yeah, I hope you get to see them soon. Could you? How? My last question is how do you feel about the future for other people that might be in the same situation as you? You know, other people that are trying to get to Europe or other Somalis. How do you feel about the future and the way Europe treats people?
What I feel is like I would not give an advice to someone to come here unless it's really necessary to go through all of this because you're risking your life, and also that there's a lot of people who's coming here going to prison ended up in prison, and this is not a really good law that they have in here because those are people trying to survive and do as much as they can. So I've seen also other people who are more or less in the same, convicted in the same as in prison, like got really high, like a really big sentence because they were just trying to come through here. So I feel this is how I feel about it.
Well, thank you very much for your time, guys. Thanks, Hanan. Thanks, Sapri, for your time. It's been really good talking to you both. I hope things get better for you, Hanan, and that you can live your life in Greece or live your life wherever you want to. That's my hope.
Thank you so much also for the time that you gave us.
Thank you. And I hope that people listening to this and the other journalists that are talking to you, I hope that your story will, help change things in Europe. I don't know if it will, but I hope it will.
I really hope that will change really a lot because the law that happening here is not really good. Like you can feel that like when you go into a court and you see some Greek people having like a court, they have a really more fair trial than us who are refugees and trying to seek asylum in here, which is not really fair. The law in here is really, really bad. So I hope that one day it will change in Greece or anywhere else. It will change one day.
I hope so too. I think you have a great lawyer, so hopefully he can help you get what you need.
Yeah, that's true. It's like he's the person who's the reason why I'm sitting with you now, and I can talk to my family always. Like I really thank him for that. He's the reason why I'm sitting here now.
Great. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. Let's end it here. It's been really good speaking to you. Hopefully, I'll hear from you again sometime.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that was episode 35 of the Civil Fleet podcast. Thanks once again to Hanad and Sapri for doing the interview. Thanks to Alexandros for setting it up. And thanks to you for listening to this episode and for sharing and supporting the Civil Fleet. I just can't believe how well it has grown over the years, and it's just great to see. And I hope that by producing these episodes, producing this podcast, that we can draw more attention to what is happening at the edges of Fortress Europe and the criminalization of people simply for seeking a better life or for saving people's lives. After that nice and sincere message, you can donate money to us if you like. Obviously, it's not the reason I do this podcast, but I do it because I'm a journalist and I want to do this kind of subject. But if you'd like to help us to platform the people that we do, help us cover the costs, which are not high, to be fair. I have a full-time job that can fully support this. But if you would like to help us, then you can do so by going to co-fi.com/civilfleet. Any donations that you give us would be greatly appreciated. You could also support us by sharing the podcast around, give us a rating on all that good stuff. Get it out on social media, spread the word. You should definitely also support the organisations that we have had on this podcast so far. Oh yeah, and I've recently started putting episodes on YouTube, so you can check them out there too. We have another episode coming soon, and so I'll be back soon with another episode. See you later. Bit of a cheesy ending, kind of weird, freestyle a little bit. I normally try to script these things out. Anyway, right, goodbye. Thanks very much. I'll see you later.